The Cook County Bar Association is one of the co-hosts for this forum today, and it is also the oldest African American bar association in the country. Welcome, Ms. Starr-Jones.
I very much appreciate the opportunity to greet you here for the Cook County Bar Association's Candidates Forum for the Office of the State's Attorney. When this afternoon was introduced, we were told that this was a very watched race this year and that it was one of the most important seats that you would be casting your vote for. As a former senior assistant district attorney in New York, I can tell you the chief prosecutor is the race that you should always be focused on. Particularly the minority community, the impact on justice and or injustice in our community is felt three- and fourfold. And so focusing on the state's attorney's office when it's in the news may be easy, but you need to focus on it all the time. And this is a particularly interesting race because so many issues are being brought up. It is my understanding that the Cook County Bar Association, which again is the nation's oldest African American bar association, invited all of the candidates to participate. Two candidates elected to come and address this community forum. From what I understand, candidate Anita Alvarez was, quote, unavailable, and we still are not clear on whether or not candidate Christopher Pfannkuche is going to be joining us, but we have seats for both of them should they decide to show up, or should somebody decide to put on social media or text, you have an empty chair.
Right, yeah.
Donna, what do you see as the primary responsibility of the state's office?
The most important thing we have to do as prosecutors is to be fair, consistent, and transparent in what we do, which is something we haven't had for the past 7 years. All of us here in Cook County know that. And the other thing we need to do is we have to prosecute crime no matter who commits it. Yeah. It doesn't matter the color, white, black, navy, blue. If somebody commits a crime, we have to have the courage to follow the evidence no matter where it leads.
I think what we've seen in Cook County, not just in the last 7 years, but for several decades, is the disproportionality on communities of color, largely because it's not just that we prosecute crime wherever it is, we over-prosecute crimes in certain areas for certain offenses that have a disproportionate impact. And so when we talk about justice, particularly as it relates to communities of color, what we have to say is, you know, just because I can charge it, should I? And what are the long-term effects of having done so? And when you look at justice, it's not just in that moment, it's the long-term effects of decisions that we make with our criminal justice system.
One of the senior lawyers in Ms. Alvarez's office, Dan Gallagher, the chief of the office's civil division, was actually forced to resign last fall due to what most thought were racist, sexist, and inappropriate comments on social media about African Americans and women. So, why don't we have more minorities? And what will you specifically do to increase the presence of minorities in positions with decision-making authority within the office? And I'll start with you, Kim.
Right now, there is one Latino in a position of leadership at the State's Attorney's Office outside of Anita Alvarez. In terms of supervisors in the State's Attorney's Office, there are, I think, 7 African American supervisors in the State's Attorney's Office out of an office of 850. And it's because we don't push on accountability as it comes to race. And I will say unequivocally, it's not that they are not talented, it's not that they don't work as hard, it's that they are not given the opportunity. I have said repeatedly that when elected, I will hire a chief diversity officer in the executive administration that will put diversity at the first and forefront of hiring, not just at lower level positions, but to make sure in senior leadership positions, not just in the courtrooms, but on the executive level, is reflective of the communities that we serve. Because I will tell you, it is incredibly difficult to be one of a few in an office that prosecutes many who look like you and not have the support or the mentoring or the guidance or a pathway to leadership.
I was shocked to see you run on the Democrat ticket. I thought you were running the Republican ticket. But if the mayor's giving you money, if Ronald's giving you money, that's politics.
You know, I have given money over the years to many, many Democratic candidates, including a contribution that pales in comparison to I gave to our president, to what I gave to Mr. Rauner. I don't think there is anybody in this community that thought that Springfield was working right when we had Governor Quinn and Speaker Madigan and President Cullerton fighting each other down in Springfield. And in fact, we had members of the black community and the black churches supporting Governor Rauner. So let's just make sure that we explain it. I think the more important question is not who I wrote a check to. The more important question is who's writing checks to my opponents. We got PI lawyers writing checks to Anita Alvarez, and she's going allegedly up against them in civil cases, and they're getting millions and millions of dollars in civil settlements. With all due respect, Ms. Foxx's money is being raised by Tony Preckwinkle. And how can you be independent when every dollar in your campaign fund is being raised by a politician who then you are beholden to? You are part of the establishment. And with all due respect, Senator, I am not part of the establishment.